Today's video, I am going to be going over my top favorite plants for January 2024. I'm so excited because I have a couple of plants here that have been with me for a while now, and it's just so exciting to see their growth pattern and their journey. And I chose the plants that I chose today partly because either they are the ones that I pay the most attention to this month. For the last 30 days, I've been paying a lot of attention to these particular plants, or they have been producing growth for me, or just doing something that makes me want to gravitate towards them. So that's why I'm choosing the plants that I've chose. I do have over 160 houseplants. However, like I said, these are the top ones for January, and I'm going to be talking about them in no particular order. I think I have I'm looking at them, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plants to talk about today. So I'm going to get started with the one that's closest to me. And so this one is my Philodendron gloriosum. And it is a cutting from my mother plant, which is on my countertop, and it's a big plant. So I took this cutting a long time ago when I first got the mother plant, and this was the original leaf from the plant. And it's been in this particular pot for about 4 months now since I chopped it. And this is the growth that it's given me in the last 4 months. And yeah, so she has been doing pretty well. This is the second leaf that she put out, and this one was the third, and this one is the fourth one, and this one is very new. It has not hardened off yet. So I'm not really sure how big this one will get, but the gloriosum she's a pretty easy plant. I do plan on doing a bigger chop on the mother plant because I don't really care for the leaves on the mother plant. They were kind of wonky and they kind of like all scarred up. So this one happens to be my favorite cutting. I have a couple cuttings of the Philodendron gloriosum from the mother plant that I have growing separately because I was planning on selling them. But it turns out that this particular one happens to be my favorite out of all of them, including the mother plant. But once I chop up the bigger one, I don't know, I might fall in love with some more. But I am preparing a lot of these cuttings for plant swapping this year. And yeah, so this is plant number 1. I will try to find a photo of her and maybe put a photo right here of how she looked 4 months ago. But yes, this is her. So this is the first one, gloriosum, Philodendron gloriosum. Okay, the second one is an alocasia, and this is my alocasia golden bone. And the reason why she is one of my favorites for January is because I had her in a cup for a long time. When I first got her, I put her in this little plastic cup, and if I do have a photo of that, I'll put it here. I really wasn't I just started paying attention to this particular plant this month. And why? Because when I had it in the cup, it just didn't look as happy, and I was like, well, maybe I need to put her in a bigger pot. And I put her in this self-watering 6-inch container that I got off of Amazon. Not a sponsor. This is not sponsored, but these watering pots, I do like them. Now, when I put her in this pot, she put out this leaf for me. So this was the biggest leaf that she had in the cup. And this was the first leaf that she pushed out after being in this pot, and she is working on another new leaf. So I do eventually want to put her in leca and see how she does. I seen Kevin on, what is it? Akana Plants. Kevin, you know who Kevin is, but on his channel, he had put his golden bone in leca and it grew massively. So I think after she puts out this leaf here, I might go ahead and switch. It just depends on the size of this new leaf. If it keeps sizing up, then she's happy and I'll leave her in here. But I do want to get those massive big leaves that I saw Kevin have on his. And that's what inspired me to even buy the plant in the first place. So this is an Alocasia golden bone. And yeah, and I've had her probably about 3 months now. I got this one. This is a Green Escape plant. I got this from Green Escape. So yeah, and she is doing well. She is one of my favorites. And I know that once she keeps putting out bigger and bigger leaves, these will eventually go and she'll look a whole lot aesthetically better. But yes, so number 2 is the Alocasia golden bone. And I took her out of the cabinet and I put her in my plant room. So actually this one and the Gloriosum, these 2 plants do live in my plant room, which stays about, I would say 40% humidity. It is winter time. I live in the Midwest. I also live in a very dark condo, and I use Barina grow lights on a Vista, is it Vista shelf? Yeah, from IKEA is where I keep all my plants. And these 2 are living in that plant room, so they don't get a lot of humidity, and I think they're growing just fine. I also have this in Fox Farm. The soil that I'm using is Fox Farm soil mixed with chunky perlite and a little bit of leca. I do inoculate all of my roots with mycorrhizum. So, and from Dino, I can't think of a name, but I'll put a picture up here. That's what I use on all of my plants. All right, number 3. Number 3 is my Philodendron Glorious. And if someone had told me at the beginning of my plant journey that this plant grows fast, super fast, I would have got this a long time ago. I would have got this. This probably would have been one of my first plants that I bought. If you're looking for a super fast grower, then this is it. The Philodendron Glorious grows so fast. I bought this, I want to say a month ago. And when I bought this a month ago, I'm not sure if I have a picture of it or not. If I do, I will include the picture. But it was one of those plants where I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try it out. I bought it at a local nursery here in Indianapolis. And I was like, okay, I'll get it. When I got it, it was a starter plant. So it was in a little tiny bitty nursery pot. And it had a few leaves on it, just a couple of leaves. It was about the size of this right here a month ago. And so I was like, well, let me go ahead and put it on a pole. So I put it on a moss pole, and it's just growing out of control. So it just put out this leaf, and it's getting ready to put out a new leaf as well. I'm not sure if she's attached to the pole yet, but I think she's going to outgrow this pole pretty fast. And I keep her in my grow cabinet, which is about 73 degrees, stays at about 73 to 80 degrees in there. And the humidity stays around 70 to 80% in the grow cabinet. And yes, and I give all of my plants nutrient solution. I feed them all the same every feeding. So they get fertilized, they get nutrients with every single feeding. And I'm just using sphagnum moss inside of this pole to grow her. And yeah, so she has been somebody that I've been keeping my eye on this month. And I think it's an easy plant. So if you're looking for an easy climber, this is one. All right, so the next one is not a philodendron, it is not a alocasia. It is a anthurium, and this is my anthurium Queen of Hearts. Now, I would say that this one is pretty easy going. It is a pretty easy going anthurium. I've never put it in a cabinet since I had it, and it's been in ambient condition in my plant room on the shelf. I pulled off one of the original leaves when this leaf was coming out. One of them was yellowing and browning. I took that one off, and this is the last leaf that it has put out, and the first leaf in my care that it has put out. I think it's a little bit bigger than the previous leaf, just a tiny bit bigger. But I love this. She is sterile, so I won't be able to get babies from her unless I chop her. And I don't plan on chopping her anytime soon, I don't think. But what I do notice about this plant is that she will start browning around the edges if she's not getting enough water. So I fill this thing up and I keep it filled with water. I make sure there's water in here at all times, because the minute I don't put water in here, she starts to brown on the edges. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I do pay attention to her leaves, and I make sure that she has plenty of water in here at all times. And she is getting ready to give me a new leaf, which I'm super excited about. So the third plant is my anthurium Queen of Hearts. I love her dark foliage, and I think she's a beautiful and easy. I would say she's a very easy anthurium to take care of. Just keep her watered. So putting her in a self-watering pot, or maybe I haven't put her in any other of my substrate. I have all my anthuriums in something different, but for now, having her in soil and a chunky aeroid mix with water, kept water in ambient condition, she's doing just fine. Okay, next is one of my absolute favorites, and this is my alocasia black velvet, and she is one of my favorites. This is my second time owning one. The first time I owned one, I literally killed it. This was at the very, very beginning of my plant journey, and I had bought a couple alocasias, and I just could not figure them out. But I always keep trying. So this is my second one. And when I got it, I think it had 2 leaves. And I bought it from Amazon, actually. I ordered this plant from an Amazon seller 6 or 5 months ago. And, well, it might have been 4 months ago. I have to check. But when I got her, I think she had 2 leaves, and one of them was dying off. So she had 1 leaf, and I decided to put her in a self-watering pot in soil, because I think I was watching a video of Fern's video, and she was talking about her black velvet, and she said that she put hers in a self-watering pot in soil, and that seemed to do the trick. Well, she wasn't lying. She was not lying. So she's been in this self-watering pot, and she actually has roots coming out. She has roots coming out, and they're floating around the bottom here. And I keep about this much water in here. And once that water is gone, I refill it back up to this level. What you don't want to do, and when I first got these pots, I thought you fill the whole thing up with water and you just let your plant drink whenever, and when it's empty, you just refill it. That might work for like golden pothos or something like that, but not. I would not recommend doing that for alocasias. Um, just give them enough water. I know that she's pretty thirsty. She drinks about this much water every 3 days. So, and that's what's good about these particular pots because I can see the water level. And does, she is very thirsty. So I keep her water level at that level there, and she's happy. So this is like I said, she started with one leaf, and all of her original leaves are gone now. So, but this was the first new leaf in my care that she gave me, and then this one right here, and then this one over here, which I thought was pretty massive until she produced this one this morning. So in January, she produced this leaf right here, which is not even hardened off yet, so it still will expand. I do notice that they do expand a little bit. So this is not even the final size of her leaf. She will expand just a tiny bit as she hardens off. It's massive. The massive jump from this size leaf to this size leaf. And the only thing I can think that I did differently was I changed my nutrient solution. I changed my fertilizer from GT foliage to TPS1, and that's the only thing different that I did prior to this leaf coming out. And I think she is working on another new leaf as well inside of here. So yeah, she is, and she's put out all of these leaves in the last 4 months. So she's given me 4 new leaves in 4 months. And I am super proud of her. And I love this plant. I love this plant. So if you're looking for alocasia, I definitely recommend her in this beautiful foliage that she has. She hasn't given me pest issues. She doesn't give me any drama. She does live in my cabinet, which again, I told you is about 70% humidity at all times. And well, 70 to 80% humidity and 73 to 80 degrees in that cabinet. So yeah, so that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th plant is the alocasia velvet, black velvet. All right, I have another alocasia here, which is this one, and she is another January favorite. This is my mellow crosswood moon. That's what it was sold to me as. When I posted a picture of this in the Alocasia Enthusiast Facebook group, and I posted it in a comment, and someone commented and said that the mellow moon doesn't exist. It's a marketing thing or whatever, that it doesn't really exist. But I have to beg to differ because I've owned a mellow before, and I currently own a dragon moon. And this plant is not a mellow or a dragon moon. The difference is, and I don't know if he could pick it up on the photo or if you guys can even tell, but the difference between the mellow that I had originally, that's no longer with us, rest in peace, the corrugation on the actual leaf was more corrugated. It was rougher, and when you touched the mellow, it felt more like a rhinoceros skin. Now this has a little bit of that, but it's also smooth. It's a very smooth, bumpy texture versus the corrugated feeling that the mellow had, if that makes sense. And then I also looked up some photos on Google of mellow crosswood moon plants, and it does look similar to what I have in my care. So I still believe that I was not sold a dupe, that this is a mellow crosswood moon, and it came from the Green Escape, and I trust them. I trust them. I mean, they're a nursery, and I know that they carry the mellow, or they did at one time, and they don't have any more mellow moons as of today on their site. Not to say that they won't have more, but I trust that they know what they're doing, and that they did make a hybrid and cross mellow and moon together, or they purchased one and crossed them together. But this is definitely not a mellow. And he said the reason why he said it's not a mellow moon is because the leaves would be rounder. But I believe that this leaf is round, a little bit around it. So I don't know. Give me your opinion. Give me your thoughts. But she has produced very. She has produced 3 of these leaves very fast, and I will post a picture when she had just one leaf. And she was also in my. She is in my cabinet. She does live in my cabinet. I recently just repotted her because her roots were going crazy. I repotted her this week, and she's already pushing out a root in this new net pot already, right there. And that's why I absolutely do love net pots, because you get to see the root growth. And in the last little watering, I had her in a little tiny self-watering pot planter, and her roots were just massively coming out. And I was like, okay, maybe it's time to repot you. She hasn't given me a new leaf yet in this inside of this pot, but I am curious to see, once she establishes her roots and she gets comfortable in her new home, what size leaf she will give me. So let's stay tuned for that. I'll post more updates on her. My next one is a anthurium, and this is my anthurium luxurian chocolate it's an export that I got in from Tropical Plants. I got her on a live sale. Yes, I bought her on a live sale. And when I got her, she had these 4 leaves here. I put her in my grow cabinet, and I also put her in this glass vessel, no drainage, leca on the bottom. She has tree fern soil here, and I put sphagnum moss on the top, and you can see her root growth. And I just recently got her, probably, I want to say 2 months. It's been 2 months, may not even been that long, but this was the first leaf that she put out in my care. And she's still not hardened off. So it does take a while, because she's been growing this leaf for about, I want to say 2 weeks now, and it's not even hardened off yet. So it is massively larger than the previous leaves. And I'm just wondering if it's because I put her in this vessel, because when I got her, she was in like a little cup, and she's developed all of these roots in that time, and now she's giving me this beautiful big leaf. And you can tell that you can kind of tell the size of what the leaf is going to be based on the petiole. If you see this, so this was the I believe, I want to say this is the biggest leaf prior to her. And if you look at the petiole here versus the petiole here, and so you can tell that it's going to be twice the size, twice or 3 times the size of this leaf, just based on the petiole. So yes, this is her. My luxuriant chocolate is what they call it, because the emergent leaf, when it comes out, is brown. So that's why they call it chocolate. But yes, she is one of my favorites for January. All right, last but not least is not only one of my, no, I'm sorry, correction, second to last. Not only is this one of my favorites for January, she is one of my top 10 favorite plants of all times. And that is my alocasia Mr. Yanni, Miss miscellany, so hard to pronounce. I'll just put the name up. But when I first got into the hobby, I thought it was a fraudic until I learned that the fraudic is actually the variegated version of this plant. So this is another plant that I got from the Green Escape, and it was my top wish list plant, even though it is more so common. It's not that expensive. You can get them anywhere online, and sometimes even in nurseries, depending on where you live. I did not find this in a nursery near me. I purchased another one, so I have two of these. I have a baby one, a little tiny baby one that I purchased from a member in one of my plant groups here in Indianapolis. And that one is doing okay. She's doing okay. But this one I bought in, I think it was a 4-inch pot that I bought it. But when I got it, the leaves were not this size. So the leaves when I bought it were probably maybe this size when I got it. But when I bought it, the stems, it was a very weak looking plant. The plant looked weak. And it was like I said, like these size leaves. However, so I decided that I wanted to go ahead and put it into LECA because I have seen Pete versus Plant put his in LECA, and mine did similar to what his did. All the leaves died off, basically. They just drooped and died when I put them into LECA. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I put her into too big of a pot and she wasn't wicking up because I put her in a glass vessel like I did my anthurium, and I had a lot of LECA in there and I stuck her in there and she wasn't too happy in there. So then I decided to move her into a self-watering pot like this one. I put her in a self-watering pot like this one, but smaller. And I also put her in pond, and she loved it. She loved it. She started pushing out leaves, and I want to say that this is my fastest alocasia in my collection. That it grows a new leaf I get a new leaf like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm going to get a new leaf. I just know it. She's putting out a new leaf right now. She just gave me a leaf last week. So I put her in that self-watering pot in pond. She lived in my cabinet, in my grow cabinet. She still lives in my grow cabinet until she cannot fit in there, absolutely cannot fit anymore. Then I'll take her out. But she lives in my grow cabinet. She was in pond. She was in a self-watering pot. And her roots were coming out of the bottom of the pot. So then I decided that I would upsize her to a bigger pot, which is this one. So this is I think it's a 6-inch, and I do have her in, yeah. So I put her in here probably about a month and a half ago. And literally this is the first time I've looked at her root system. I usually just lift it up to make sure that there's water inside of the pot, but I have not pulled her all the way up to even check out her roots. So this is what she was doing in the other pot as well. And when I moved her into this pot, unfortunately, I broke off a lot of roots in the pot that she was previously in because the holes were so tiny. I just couldn't get her roots to come out. So a lot of them broke off, and I think I lost one leaf. And this leaf has been doing this ever since. Ever since it's been doing this. But it doesn't bother me. She's still hanging on. She's still here. And she has put out so much more new growth since then. She hasn't given me a corm yet. Not that I noticed. I think I took her out of the last pot and just stuck her in here. I didn't even really check to see for corms. But she has put out a lot of pups along the way. And so this one was first, and then this leaf here. And I swear when this leaf came out, I thought it was massive. And then, she put out this one, and again, I thought it was massive. And then she put out this one for me, and I'm just speechless. I cannot wait until she keeps growing bigger. I can't wait to see what this leaf right here is going to look like, though. But yes, and even the babies are putting out bigger and bigger leaves. So that one, this one, and then this one, and she's working on a new leaf there. And then we have this one, and a new leaf here. And this one was the last one that she put out. The pup put out this one last, and this is a new leaf. So yes, she has pupped a lot, and I think she's going to be a absolutely stunner, showstopper. All the ones that I've seen on other YouTube channels and Instagram have really inspired me to do my best at growing this plant. And like I said, she lives in pond, and I like to put moss around the roots of my alocasias, just like we do with the anthuriums, because for the exact same reason, I want those roots, those adventitious roots, to grow down and into the pot. And that is exactly what she's doing. She has, underneath the moss, she has new roots, and you can see Dana, zoom in right there. She has developed these roots, and they are shooting down into the substrate. That is going to make her bigger, stronger, faster. Bigger, stronger, faster. That's the goal. Because I'm impatient. So that is why I do that on my alocasias as well as my anthuriums. So that's another trick. I don't see very many people putting moss around their alocasias, just the anthuriums. But I'm telling you, it works just the same. All right, so last but not least is also one of my hands down top favorite plants in my collection, and that is my Thai constellation. I've had this plant probably from the beginning. I haven't been in my plant journey long. I've only been in my plant journey for going on 7 months. So I started in June of last year, and I bought this plant, I want to say in August of last year I bought it. I'm not sure. I'll check the dates of my photos, but I'll put up a photo of when I first got her. And I was so proud when I had her, because she was one of my most rarest and expensive plants that I was able to get my hands on. When I saw her at a nursery here in Indianapolis, I just had to have her no matter what the price was on it. And unfortunately, I had bought one of these prior to all of the crazy TC plants that hit the market. Now you can buy a Thai constellation, a TC Thai constellation in the little bag, and you can buy like 4 in a bag for $50. I paid about $240 for mine, and it was tiny. It wasn't super tiny. It was a decent size. It had one fenestrated leaf at the time that I bought it, and that was 4 months ago, like I said. So without further ado, let me grab her. She is the last one, and she is the queen of my plant collection, the queen of my home. Let me get her. Okay, here she is. And I'm actually sitting in the same spot as the original photo was taken, which I'll put it there. But yes, this is her. And she has always been my favorite. When I got her, I already knew when I bought her that I wanted her to be in LECA. I did not put her in LECA at first because that would be dumb. That would have been dumb because I had no experience. First of all, I had zero experience with LECA when I first got her. Second of all, I never transferred a plant from soil to LECA. So my biggest thing was to practice first. And what I did was I had a green form deliciosus that I chose to propagate or to cut from the mother plant, and I transferred that over. I went through the whole long process of transferring that particular plant into LECA before I even thought about switching this one over to LECA. So once I did that and I did the long process, I put it in water, I put it in a jar, let it grow roots, I put it into LECA, and I did all of that, and it was successful. I saw how the process went. I trusted myself. I trusted the process. So then I decided that I was going ahead and put this into LECA. One of the things that made me hesitant is because of how people were saying about the root rot situation, and I didn't want her to get root rot. I didn't want anything to happen to her. But once I figured out the method and I was confident in putting her into LECA, that is what I did. I put her in straight in. Yeah, I put her straight into this net pot. So I did not do no long method at all. I just didn't find it necessary because I watched Kevin's video and I watched it over and over and over and over and over again. All of his Thai constellation videos over and over again. So I feel like with all the knowledge that I had gained in the last 6 months, just watching videos and studying, I feel like I jump started this plant. I think that had I not did all of that research and understanding that she might not be at the stage that she is currently. So, and like I said, like I've jumped on the nutrient solution and all that. I put her in this net pot, and this is currently what her roots are looking like. She's been in this net pot since I switched her over to LECA. I did have to upsize the bucket. So I got this bucket from Home Depot. I wanted a big bucket, clear bucket. I didn't use the bucket at the hydroponics store because it was just way too deep, and I would have to put like maybe 2 gallons of nutrient solution in there just for her plants, for the roots to even touch. So I wanted a wide but shallow bucket. So Home Depot carries these, and she was in a 5-quart bucket prior to me putting her in this one. I just recently put her in this one this week because I felt like her roots were getting smashed against the bucket, the smaller bucket, and I also wanted her roots to start growing more and reach down to the bottom of the bucket. And she has. So she's doing quite well. So I want to say that these bottom leaves and this leaf, I believe, and maybe this one, yes, this one, were the original leaves when I bought the plant. These are the original leaves when I bought the plant. All 4 of these are the newest leaves that have came out in my care since I've had her. So this one was the first one that came out, and I was super happy. And then she put out this one for me, and I swear, y'all, I think her variegation is gorgeous. I think it's stunning. So it's kind of like a half moon situation with a splash of green over here on this side. And then she put out this one right here next. So with the splashing over there, beautiful. And she just gave me this one this week, and it's not hardened off yet. So it's still going to expand a little bit in size. So I just know that not to take this size as the permanent size, because I thought that this one came out smaller than this leaf. Clearly not. It did not. Once it expanded, it was bigger. So this one is still going to be expanding. And she, like I said, she just put this one, she just unfurled this week. And she is getting ready to give me another one right here. And that's what she did. That's what this one did. So this one came out in December. This leaf came out in December. And as soon as it came out, it was working on this leaf. So this leaf came out this week, and it is working on another leaf now. So she's been giving me one leaf per month. And I don't know um, why people say that she's a slow grower. Maybe it's the conditions. I don't know. She lives in my plant room. She sits in a east facing window, and she also has a grow light above her, probably about this far off from the top of her. And yeah, so she's been growing like that, and she's been in this bucket, and I give her nutrients. I feed her every week. She does not miss a feeding. I give them all the same. The nutrient solution is about 50% right now, and I think I am slowly going to be upping her the solution. It was 50% diluted. I think I'm going to start upping it, especially in spring. In spring, I'm going to up the dilution. I'm going to drop the dilution down and up the fertilizer on her, and we're going to see how she goes. I'm hoping that soon she will give me secondary fenestrations, but we shall see. But yes, so this is the last one, my Thai constellation, and last month. So yeah, that's it for today. If you have any questions or comments, or you have any advice for me that I can use to further the growth of these plants and to do a better job on them, let me know. I appreciate any advice that you have to give, and I will see you next time. Bye.